You're dialed in to the Dawg Pound Podcast, your weekly shot of Cleveland Browns recaps, reactions, and rants with your hosts, Jon Drake and Chris Aiken.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 9 of the Dawg Pound Podcast. I am your host, Jon Drake. With me is my co-host, Chris Aiken. How's it going, man?
What is up, sir? How are we?
We are good. Quite the blow we might have expected.
Yeah, they played about what we expected, I would guess. You know, I mean, it wasn't as horrible to watch as I thought it was, but Kansas City's a goddamn good team, dude. That's all I have to say coming out of that game.
Well, all I got to say coming out of that game is I'm finally my draft board for next year is starting to really come into focus, and I think I'm leaning towards pass rusher with whatever top 6 pick we end up with next year, because I have officially had it with seeing the opposing quarterback never even getting touched. You got Myles Garrett getting double teamed, and then everybody else is just farting around doing nothing. I'm tired of it. Give me somebody on the other side so that you got somebody that can make sacks besides Myles Garrett, and let's start dirtying up the quarterbacks. These guys have way too much time.
Yeah, and I mean, dude, you have to keep it somewhat in perspective. I mean, Kansas City their offense is pretty much unstoppable. Their defense is going to be the difference of if they make the Super Bowl or not. It's that simple, because their offense is absolutely unstoppable. I honestly think they could have put up a lot more points yesterday. They could have scored at will. You know, the only reason they didn't was because we slowed them down with our slow-ass drives, honestly.
That was a really smart game plan, by the way.
Yeah, it was. But don't you think that if Kansas City would have had the ball, let's say 3 more times, they would have put up 14 more points?
Well, I mean, that's the way it was going.
Yeah.
I mean, criminy. I mean, the first drive, they're excuse me, I'm all froggy from yesterday. But yeah, I mean, that first drive, they start at their own 5 and just go 95 yards. Like, boy, it's gonna be one of those. Like man, oh man.
Yeah, I mean, it was what it was yesterday. I mean, if you look at it just by numbers, you'll be depressed. But if you really consider what we had going on, the crazy turmoil of the week, you know, the coaches leaving, new scheme kind of being worked in, you know, with 3 days of prep time, defense that's hurt and kept getting hurt during the game. I mean, let's face it, we lost Christian Kersey or Jerome, what's his name? Kirksey,
yeah.
Kirksey,
EJ Gaines and Denzel Ward. We're basically down 6 starters now. You got Terrence Mitchell,
yeah.
Demarius Randall was out, Kirksey, Schobert, EJ Gaines was already in there as a backup. He was starting, so he went down, and then you get Denzel. I mean, 6 starters on defense. Yeah. Come on.
6 starters, and Jamie Collins came out to play without his arms, you know, since he refuses to use his arms to tackle. You know.
That guy he loafs so bad.
Yeah.
They were talking about that one touchdown that Kareem Hunt scored, and goddamn throat. That Kareem Hunt scored. And he's like going right at him, and Jamie Collins just kind of takes 3 steps to his right. He's like, go in.
Yeah. Ole!
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, that's basically getting to be ridiculous. But at least, you know, they were saying that Valero guy, Vallejo, I think, that he actually was kind of worth a damn. So, and I guess he was busting his ass. So that's one thing you can't say about Jamie Collins.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, just let's get into the complaints about the game. The complaints, I'm going to start where I always seem to start with this team. The special teams. Again, we had a blocked punt. Again, we had lousy special teams. And what was the one piece of the puzzle that was not fucked up last week from the coaching change? The special teams. So, Again, Amos Jones is lousy and should be drummed out of this town in shame. They shouldn't even give him a bus ticket out of town. They ought to make him walk with his head down out of town.
I was listening to Josh Cribbs on the way home because he does a segment with Trevisano on Mondays. I think it's from like 5 to 6 or something, and they were talking about that. And he said one of the things that they were up against on special teams yesterday was because of the injuries in the secondary, they had like all these like special teams guys that they had to elevate to pass coverage positions. So they were like just trying to find warm bodies to play special teams because they didn't want to take guys that were playing corner and stick them out there on special teams again, because if they get injured there, they have nobody to play corner. And I was like, oh my God, that's awful. Look, I mean, now that said, it's not like that's not an excuse, because Amos Jones and the special teams have been crap all year. But I mean, you take the crappiest part of the team and then you bleed it even more dry. It's like, oh my God, recipe for disaster. And sure enough, there it was.
Dude, I honestly think that when they were hiring that position, they thought the sign said special needs, and that's how Amos got the gig. He's terrible, man. He is so bad. And I don't care what position players or whatever that you were down to. You can't tell me that you can't find two guys on each end of the line that can halfway stop a punt block. How many times this year have we had a punt or kick blocked? 6? I think the number is 6 in 9 games.
If you ask me, 1 is too many.
Yeah, so I can live with 1, maybe even 2. 2 is a stretch. 2 is when you start thinking we got to fire somebody.
Yeah.
6, and this guy's still on the team. This guy is still in charge, and there's nobody calling for his head. Why is this guy not fired? If you can fire the head coach and the offensive coordinator, how about if you fire the one guy that is proven to be the worst on the entire team? We've lost how many games because of special teams? Not that yesterday was a loss because of special teams, but what if this was another one of those 3-point games somehow? We still would have lost because of special teams. It's ridiculous.
Well, it's been 2. So it's been 2 so far. We were 0-1-1 in special teams games. I mean, you got the Saints and the weeks 1 and 2.
Yeah.
You're looking at 4-4-1 right now. And again, we go back to it again. How different does that sound than 2-6-1?
And I would argue the Raider game too. If we had better special teams, we might have won that one too. Because we left points on the board that would have kept us out of overtime.
Yeah, that one's always hard for me though, because that one, it was a bullcrap spot by the refs. I mean, that game was over. And no matter what happened, we had the lead with the ball. We got a first down. Game's over. And then the ref's like, no, you didn't. Like, yeah, we did. And you know what happened after that. So that one's always hard for me to, I mean, you could. So I'm not going to argue it. I just think that one the refs took away from us. But
yeah, well,
tomato.
Yeah, you still can't argue that the special teams weren't lousy in that game as well.
Oh yeah,
because we left points on the board.
They've had like one good game.
Yeah.
Really? I mean, was it last week or the week before? But it was within the last couple of weeks. But, I mean, they've only had one game where you could say, okay, they didn't make any mistakes. They had some good returns. It was the game that Peppers had a couple nice returns. But, I mean, yeah, it was crap again. Yeah. I mean, and seeing that punt block, I was like, okay, so we're going to let this happen? Really? You're playing the best offense in the league, and now you're going to give them a short field? Like, really?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I'm sure this is going to end well, and of course it did.
Yeah.
If you're a Chiefs fan, it ended well. So,
yeah, and the special teams was lousy yesterday again, and I'm going to keep calling for Amos to be fired until Amos is fired. It's got to happen sometime. Another thing that has to happen, another one that I always pick at, and I'm going to continue to pick at. I'm not even going to be nice about it, even though I know you like this guy. I honestly don't think that David Njoku has the playbook. He does not run routes at all that are right. That Baker is constantly behind on throwing the ball to Njoku because Njoku's not where he's supposed to be.
Out of position. Yeah, I noticed that too.
And it's because he doesn't run routes well. I mean, you know how the NFL works. It's a timing thing. They don't wait for you to get to your spot to throw it. They know where their spot is, and they throw it, and you're just supposed to be there. You're supposed to get off the line and get there. Njoku is never there. So every pass to him, whether it's downfield or 10 yards up the field or whatever it is always behind him, which means that he's not getting to his spots and Baker's having to wait. And that's part of the reason that Baker is getting smashed every single down. Because his guys are not hitting routes. And I'll say the same with Antonio Callaway, but Njoku makes me more crazy. Callaway, I think he has one route he knows, which is run straight down the field. He's good at running straight down the field. Anything else, he's worthless. But Njoku can't even give you that. He just can't run routes, and he hurt us again yesterday.
Yeah, I noticed a couple passes that, Mayfield obviously was throwing to where the ball should have been,
right? And
the receiver did something else.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the thing. Again, it's one of the benefits of sitting in the pound is that you get that, you could see it from Baker's perspective.
Sure.
So on television, it just looks like, oh, he missed the throw. But when you're sitting back there, you can tell, especially with a guy that's as accurate as he is,
mm-hmm.
when it's wildly off the mark. I mean, it's not. This isn't Brandon Whedon where he's just, chucking it up there. I mean,
right.
He knows what he's supposed to do and where it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
So when you have it like nowhere near the guy, like missing him by 10 yards, that's a route problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, it's so frustrating, man. Like I said, going back to draft stuff, I firmly believe we need at least one stud offensive lineman. We need a number one receiver and we need a pass rusher.
Yeah.
And
sounds like exactly what we needed last year, but you just took the quarterback out of the mix.
Well, yeah, right. So, honestly, if they can trade back into the first round to get like somebody really good, or if they have a high second round pick, it sucks. It's one of those years you don't have 2 first round picks.
Yeah, but we have so many picks to trade that we could probably trade back in. I would.
Yeah,
think...
but we have an extra third, and we have 3. I think it's 3 or 4 picks in the 5th round, and those 5th rounders aren't really much.
Well,
so I don't know what they can do. I don't know. It's just I'm just pissed because it seems like we're close, and these injuries are happening, and again it wasn't a bloodbath yesterday, so
no.
Thank God for that.
Yeah.
I kept wondering, like, okay, if we were playing a lesser opponent, that wasn't scoring at will, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
What would the outcome be?
Yeah,
and I know the Chiefs don't have a great defense. They're pretty crappy, but we scored on 3 straight possessions in the first half.
Yeah.
They kept it close, and I liked how they were aggressive. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, damn it, why couldn't this be against one of the lower tier teams?
Yeah.
We don't have any of those on our schedule anymore. So.
Yeah, no. But dude, here's the real question: are we close enough now to where we stop thinking only draft? So I'll just throw an example. It's not necessarily a good one. It's just first thing in my head. Are we at a point now where maybe we reach out and say, where's he at now? Green Bay. Do we say, hey, Green Bay, we'll take Jimmy Graham for Njoku and a number 3 because we're close enough?
Well, Jimmy Graham is. He's over the hill. He's
whoever. I'm not going to say Kelsey or Gronk or one of those guys, but I'm trying to just think of somebody decent.
Yeah, I think that what you would do is, because the top flight wide receivers generally don't come available in free agency. So you're looking to free agency for your pass rusher or especially your offensive lineman, because that's usually where you find them. And I know D. Podesta is still with us, and the one thing that they said that was actually pretty intelligent was it's better to get offensive linemen through free agency because you don't have to give them that like 3-year learning curve. They can come in and block. So, it may be a situation where, you go for a pass rusher with your first round pick and go for a receiver with your second round pick, or flip flop it. And then, in free agency, you go for the offensive lineman. Maybe this is the homer in me. So I'll ask the question to you, because I do think that we are closer than we may think, because when you really look at it, like when we've talked about it, if you have a number 1 receiver, you're going to have your number 1, then you're going to have Jarvis, then you're going to have Higgins. I know you don't like Njoku, but He's in his second year. He's still super young. He's what? I don't think
he's younger than Baker.
20?
He's younger than Baker.
Oh well, yeah. Well, Baker was a senior though. I mean, I think Njoku's maybe 21. I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, he's really young, and so you'll have him. You got Chubb and Duke in the backfield. I mean, that's a pretty impressive offense, I think.
Well, dude, and here's the answer to your question, and I don't have to answer it myself. I'll let the pros answer it. When you've got name guys, Bruce Arians and Bill Cowher, in the same day saying about what a great job this is going to be for somebody, that's a pretty strong endorsement.
Dude, how nice is it to hear that?
It's nice. I mean, at the same time, it'd be nicer if they were saying it on a 24-10 Browns win instead of a 37-20 whatever drubbing.
Yeah,
I
I heard the Cowher thing on the way into work today, and I was like, wow, like that's, and I'm not going to be one of those people that says, oh, see, he wants the job. Like, of course, the homer in me is going, oh man, I hope Bill Cowher is actually saying that he wants our job. Like, I hope he's actually thinking that. Like, he's not. But then again, by the same token, part of me wonders, because a guy like that, I mean, he's been linked to other jobs, and even hear people say, what about that? And he quickly comes out and says, no, I have no interest in doing that. And he knows that anything he says is going to be construed as that, especially like with our coaching position. Yeah. And yet the way he phrased it, either he just really wasn't paying attention, or maybe he would consider it for, I mean, you got to wonder if he's looking at the John Gruden thing and going, well, I would take $100 million.
Well, you got to think that's why he's saying it. And that's what he would want too. He's not coming out, dude. He's got a cush job making probably $3-4 million a year, working 1 day a week. Why would you go back to full time, 7 days a week all year for anything less than $100 million at this point if you were him? So, I mean, the Browns who are probably still spending $20 million a year on coaches that are no longer here, I mean, do they really want to take on that much? And I'm going to be honest, just me, and I certainly understand that Bill Cowher is super smart and certainly understands the game of football, but he's been away a very long time at this point.
Yeah.
I mean,
2006.
Yeah. I mean, it's not 5 years. It's what, 13, 12 years. He has not had to coach up players, and and I think about the intangibles, he's never had to deal with like social media and players that are, working for, shoe deals and stuff through their social media, and that they're not as focused on football as you might have had back in 2006 and 2005, and you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's a different. The players themselves. I mean, you know this, dude. Just watching the game, it's a different game that's on the field right now. He's never had to deal with all this nonsense about what is and isn't pass interference, what is and isn't a good or a bad hit. I mean, these are basic coaching fundamentals that he has no experience in now. I almost wonder if he's too far removed to where we wouldn't waste 1 year of him just getting brought up to speed.
Well, if you land a guy with that pedigree, I think all of us would be fine as fans to say, okay, he's going to take a year to get up to speed. I mean, that's the thing, with these young guys, you need that young offensive mind. I agree with that philosophy, and that's what everybody's saying that we're going to do. But I think if you bring in a guy like that, everybody instantly pays attention and listens to him. And, you kind of need that, especially, guys like Jarvis Landry. He's apparently a lot of bluster, in the preseason, like, it's contagious, bro. It's contagious, being all that. Now he's turning into a pissant.
Yeah.
like all the Miami fans said that he would. It's like, okay, well, you need that guy to get smacked upside the head, be like, shut up.
Yeah.
Play football, quit bitching. Enough is enough. And a guy like Bill Cowher can do that. A guy like Bruce Arians.
See, I would have less of a problem with Bruce Arians personally. He's only been away from the game 1 year? 1 year. Yeah, and the Cardinals were good right up until he left.
Yeah, well, when he had a quarterback.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's all he needed was a decent quarterback, and he was a quality coach. But the only thing that scares me about him is his health. Because didn't he have like a heart attack or some nonsense, and that's part of the reason that he left was
Something like
health
that,
concerns?
Yeah. And see, but dude, you know, again, I think there's something to be said. Again, he brings a pedigree.
Mm-hmm.
He's been successful everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, and honestly, I really think that there is something to be said for the fact that he wants the job. Like
Sure.
he's got that extra bit of juice because he's been saying for 15 years, like that's his dream job.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he said, I'm not coming out of retirement unless it's for the Browns.
Right.
You know, so it's like you have a guy that actually wants to do this. Like he loves the Cleveland fans. He loves the football environment there. You know, and it's like a guy like that can get the job done. And it's not like some idiot like John, who, you know, I'm sorry, the guy was never all that to begin with. You know, he won a Super Bowl with Tony Dungy's team,
Right.
but yet he's got this. As soon as those players started leaving, the team went down the tubes because he's just overrated. Now look where they're at. They are screwed.
I know, and there's nothing they can do. They cannot fire him. They can't walk. I mean, who's going to fire him with a $90 million guarantee? They're going to ride him out for the whole 10 years.
Yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, when they signed that deal, I was like, thank God.
Yeah.
This is not my team. Like for once, like it's not us doing something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, but I don't know, man. The whole coaching thing is interesting because they're talking about, you know, I mean, the main guys right now that are on the radar would be the NFL guys would be if John Harbaugh or Mike McCarthy get let loose. I'd be fine with either of those. You know, the college guys are obviously Matt Campbell from Iowa State. Lincoln Riley's the big one from Oklahoma.
Right.
That just makes too much sense, and I don't think he's going anywhere. He's only been coaching Oklahoma for a couple of years,
Right.
And he's making a ton of money there as it is. And yeah, and then you know Arians has said that he would come out of retirement, and you know who knows if Bill Cowher was actually serious. And but there's the Chiefs. Apparently, a guy to watch is the special teams coordinator for the Chiefs. This guy, it's spelled Toub, but it's pronounced Tobe. It's Dave Tobe. But I guess Dorsey like absolutely loves him, and the guy interviewed for a few head coaching positions because Dorsey talked him up so much to other executives. Like, dude, you got to this guy's the bomb, and now he's got a chance to hire him. So apparently, you know, he's a serious consideration.
Mm-hmm. That would be a very scrutinized hire, though, to go from special teams coach to head coach. Ooh.
Well, I mean, John Harbaugh did it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not unheard of.
Maybe Amos Jones. Yeah. Never mind.
I love how you call him famous Amos. It's so funny. I mean, see, dude, at this point, like, honestly, you know what my biggest hope is for this coaching hire? What? I want Jimmy Haslam to piss off. Just go away.
Yeah.
Stop this whole, I need to be involved. No, you don't. This is why people are like, I've heard people say, well, at least you know he's a better owner than Randy Lerner. What was he really? Because Randy Lerner just went, here's my checkbook, I'm going to piss off and go watch soccer. I don't know anything about football. That's what I want from my owner. Just write the damn checks. Do you see Robert Kraft telling Belichick, I need to be in on this decision? No, he's like, here, just go run the team.
Right.
I'll just write it out. And how's that worked out?
Yeah, I think it's worked out okay.
Yeah, it's like, go away, Jimmy Haslam. If you want to be involved, just watch as a spectator. Go ahead and sit in on every meeting, sit in on every negotiation, but keep your hands off.
Don't even do that. Just go rip off truckers and stay out of the freaking stadium. Leave it to the pros.
And you got a guy in Dorsey, like he's never hired a coach before. I didn't know that, but that apparently is the thing. This will be his first ever coaching hire.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, he assembled a great front office.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of really talented, solid contacts throughout the league in front office positions. So let him pick a guy.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't want Haslam involved because Dorsey will pick a guy that he can work with.
Mm-hmm.
So then you're going to have the general manager in complete lockstep with the coach. If you have Haslam and they're going, well, I kind of want this guy and forcing it one way or the other, you might have another pet and farmer type of a situation, which we all know where that got us.
Yep. We don't want it. No.
Yeah. So I'm just like, just go away and let Dorsey do the hiring on his own. We don't need your input. You don't know football.
Right.
Okay.
Dude, speaking of coaches, did you happen to catch Hugh Jackson's tell-all interview thing about his how it all went down and why he believes that if he would have been able to take over the the offensive coaching, that it would have been good? Did you happen to see any of that?
I saw the article from Mary Kay Cabot. I didn't listen to the other interviews. You could tell that guy reads his press clippings because, man, God, the one on Cleveland.com came out Friday morning, and then he had to go on First Take or whatever, and then the one on Cleveland.com kind of read like he was throwing everybody else under the bus. And then I guess he gets on First Take and all of a sudden it was like, yeah, it's my fault. So he was already reading reaction to it and changing up his interview tactic because he was getting skewered.
I watched it and, man, he just comes off like a delusional boob. While I will agree with you that he took on some of the blame, he doesn't take on the reality of the situation, that he had every reason in the world except that he was a bad coach. And that's just what it is. I don't care how many mistakes were made. When you are the guiding light to 3 wins in 3 years, you're the problem. You're at least a big part of the problem. And he never once said, you know what, if I was a better coach, we would have won more games.
Yeah.
He doesn't say it.
No, I agree with you. And the whole thing about, if I could have taken the offense back, that in itself right there is one of the reasons he got fired. It's like, okay, so, I don't think there's any discord. Yet you were going to go to the owner and be like, give me my offense back, and just completely piss all over Todd Haley and expect that's going to go over well.
Yeah.
What, you're just going to walk in, I'm the head coach. Like, he's aware of that, dick. Like, and it's, if I had done it my way, I really think we would have. Well, okay, I get it. You had crap on your team for the last 2 seasons, but you had the 32nd and the 31st ranked offenses. Even with crap players, if you were this offensive guru, you shouldn't be dead last and second to dead last.
Yeah.
You should have done better with less if you're an offensive guru like that.
Yeah.
And you didn't.
Yeah. And
what was going to change?
Nothing. It was going to go back to what it was last year, which was lousy. He wasn't going to. He called all the plays last year. Does he think we forgot that?
Yeah.
And I know he didn't have as good a talent as he had this year, but he called all the plays. He couldn't figure out anything to do last year. So, it was just funny. And then this morning, I don't know if you probably didn't hear this morning, but former coach Sam Rutigliano said on Ken Carman's show this morning that he talked to Todd Haley right after he was fired. And he said that Haley had no idea. He got blindsided. He said that he went in thinking that he was getting the coaching job. He said that he got a call that Coach Sam got a call from Haley saying that he went in thinking he was getting handed the reins and instead got shown the door. So
wow,
I still think something happened in that meeting. I honestly think that's probably Dorsey must have called him the night before and said, hey, we're firing Hugh in the morning. So come in and we'll talk about what we're going to do. So Haley comes in, and then maybe Dorsey and him didn't see eye to eye on what they were going to do, and Haley threw a fit, and he said, you know what, dude, fuck you, pal, get out of here. And sent him packing.
Yeah.
And
that wouldn't surprise me.
Because why else? Something had to have happened to fire Haley. And I can't imagine what it could have been other than, I don't know, leaking stuff to the press maybe. But even that, they all do that. So,
well, some of the speculation is that, with the NFL starting to incorporate a whole bunch of the college concepts and whatnot, that Haley was resistant to doing that and basically like, well, I've got all this expertise, so I'm going to do it my way, as opposed to kind of like adapting.
Right.
And you can kind of see that because, the first game he's gone, all of a sudden Duke Johnson, who knew? He was targeted 9 times, caught all 9 for 78 yards and 2 touchdowns. They handed him the ball once, like, wow, get Duke Johnson 10 touches and he puts up 2 touchdowns and 85 yards of offense. Who knew?
Yeah. Well,
so, I mean, there it is right there.
We've been screaming for that since the beginning of the season, so we knew they should listen to the Dawg Pound podcast.
Exactly. We should throw our hats in the ring for the coaching job.
Hey, we can't do any worse than Hugh. Honestly, I honestly believe I could get on that sideline and lose 16 in a row. I think I could do it.
I absolutely love that stat about the how many coaches there's been in NFL history, and there's 219 NFL head coaches throughout the NFL history, and he was ranked 218th out of 219, and the 219th guy was in like the 30s. It was Burt Bell of the Eagles, and he was the team owner, so he couldn't fire himself.
Yeah,
so, so he was literally the crappiest coach ever.
He's the worst coach ever. But then he goes on TV, and says, "Oh, it wasn't me. It was a collective failure." Shut up. Wasn't a collective failure. It was a Hugh Jackson failure.
Yeah, that's when you lose historically like that. Like what his winning percentage was .088. It's like, come on, dude. At some point, just go. Yeah, that really wasn't very good.
Just come out and say, you know what? I'm a kick-ass offensive coordinator. Head coaching, not so much. I'm not going to get another job. What does he think by not telling the truth that somebody's going to give him another shot later? Who in their right mind would ever say, you know what, let's start thinking about our coach like 5 years from now?
I can tell you.
Go ahead.
I can tell exactly who it's going to be.
Who?
The Raiders are going to fire Gruden and hire you.
No way. Dude,
that would be the most Raiders move ever, wouldn't it?
I think he would. And this is not even a joke, not even bullshit. I think right now, and I think in 5 years, he would have trouble getting a high school job. I really don't think
high school job is. He could get a high school job.
I mean, not as a head coach. I'll bet you it would have to be some high school that needs to raise funds, so they bring in a former NFL coach. Because even that, think about your high school. You went to what, Strongsville?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be embarrassing for the school? Say, yeah, we hired the worst coach in NFL history to be our high school football coach.
It sure doesn't sound good, I have to admit.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. I mean, who's going to hire him?
This poor guy. He's like he's going to have the stink of this on him forever. It's going to be like anytime a Cleveland team makes the playoffs when you just can't watch the game without seeing footage of the drive, the fumble, the shot, the decision. Like anytime they show Hugh Jackson on television in the future, they're going to mention him. Oh, he was the head coach of Cleveland. It was like absolutely abysmal, shitty garbage.
They should add him to all those things. You know, the drive, the fumble, the coach.
Just call him the coach.
The coach.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Well, they should add him. He's in the same boat as that. I mean, Cleveland has this undeniable record of futility. And now we have the record for the most futility in the history of the NFL.
Yep. So
why not? Why not add him as the coach?
I heard something so funny. I never thought about this, but it was so funny on the radio the other day. Somebody was saying, you know, he gave total control of the offense to Todd Haley, and yet even still, you still saw him every game with that dumb look on his face staring at a play sheet. Like, what the hell are you looking at? You're not calling plays. Like,
yeah.
Are you ordering lunch or something?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
What are you doing? And that never even crossed my mind.
Yeah.
And then when they said it, I was like, oh my God, that's true. He really did.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck?
Well, he had to look like he had a reason to be there. It sure wasn't coaching up players or calling plays. So he needed to look the part at least, I guess, to earn, what was he making? $5 million a year?
God, I just remember when they hired him, I was so pumped up. I'm like, oh, we finally got like the top name on the coaching market. This is cool.
Yeah.
And then they had that video of him walking into the building and everybody lined up like clapping for him. And I was like, yes, this is going to be great. I got to tell you, I've had so many Browns moments like that over the past 20 years. I'm tired of them.
Dude, you have to stop. You have to stop at this point. You know the meme that was out there when they signed RG3 of, you know, him falling down going into the facility and breaking his leg, and then they were like, RG3 went to sign his contract, he's out for the season.
Right.
That they should repackage that as Hugh Jackson, because that's Hugh Jackson. And next coach, I don't care who they get, dude. Until he shows it on the field, do us all a favor and don't be selling how great it's going to be. I don't care who they get. I don't care if Vince Lombardi, they spray some magic water on him, he comes out of the grave. Still make him prove himself, okay?
I don't have the ability because everything sucks. I have to have something. That's why I bought a damn Baker Chef's hat yesterday, because at least I'm having fun with something. Like, at this point, my Baker Mayfield stuff is just, it's funny. I'm like, I actually saw Baker Mayfield socks at the team shop. I was like, I need those, because then I will have Baker Mayfield socks. I'll have a T-shirt. I'll have a jersey. I've got my Baker Mania headbands, and now I've got my official Baker Mayfield Baker's hat that says Baker's Boys on it. Like, it's just funny now, because at least I'm having fun with something. It's a crap show. What do you want me to do? I will blow my fucking head off if I don't do this sort of thing. Like, I have to believe. Because eventually I'm going to be right.
Dude,
eventually the numbers are going to be in my favor, and I'm just going to go, I won't be like, see, I told you. I'll be like, thank God, finally. You know? Because you're right. It's not like I could brag.
Right.
Oh, I told you that was going to happen. You've been saying that for 25 years, you idiot. Like, yeah. I'm not, believe me, I'm not naive to it, man, but I'm just trying not to, like, you know, just break down sobbing every week because of, you know, the whole Rob Schneider thing from, what was it, the Waterboy. Oh no, we suck again.
Yeah. Like, you don't want to actually, you just refuse to accept Factory of Sadness. You're like the one happy guy in this Factory of Sadness.
Well, dude, it's like, honestly, do you know why? Because I feel like, and you can even admit this, like, pretty much all my friends know that I'm like the most hardcore Browns fan that any of my friends know.
Mm-hmm, sure.
And I may be the dumbest, but I am the most hardcore.
I'll agree with dumbest.
Yeah. Right. All I got to do is see me with that stupid Baker hat on my head yesterday.
Yeah, well, that was quite the photo.
Oh, wasn't that great? I'm like, oh, this looks ridiculous. I love it. But dude, I feel like I have to retain hope and I have to retain positivity, because I feel like I'm earning my fan cred. Like, so that when they finally get good, and, you know, if they ever make a Super Bowl, God forbid they ever win one, I feel like I will have earned the right to celebrate before anybody else. And it's just a thing with me. Like, I don't want to be one of those sellout, like, front runner fans.
Yeah.
And I know it's stupid, but I can't help it.
and yet it'll be some rich dork that hasn't been to a game in 23 years that's sitting at the 50-yard line of the Super Bowl.
Yep. Well, I won't. I acting like they're going to make multiple Super Bowls here, but people have always asked me, like, well, if the Browns make the Super Bowl, are you going to get tickets? And I said the first one, no, I don't want anything to do with that. I'm going to get a huge party together with all my friends. Because God forbid the Browns win, I want to be around actual Browns fans and my actual friends. Like, I don't want to be next to some rich asshole that just happened to drop $2,000 because he wanted to see the Super Bowl. You don't care. I want to be around people that actually care, that have suffered alongside of me. What the hell does that rich guy have to suffer for?
Yeah.
The Browns lose. If he's even a Browns fan and they lose, he could go wipe his tears with $100 bills, for Christ's sakes. You know, I got to wake up and go to work the next morning in a bad mood.
Right.
So what does he know?
Just a crappy flight home.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, if they ever won a Super Bowl, I mean, I'd go if they went again,
right?
Like, just to see what it's like. But even then, that's not really my environment. I'm just, it's. I don't know.
It's a rich guy's game, and you know, it's not football fans. It's rich people.
Yeah, and I'm not. Even if I was rich, I wouldn't be in that environment. Right. I mean, you know me, dude. Me and you are the same way. We could have millions of dollars. We'd still be doing this, and we'd still be doing the stupid crap that we do, because we're just not. It's just not in our blood to do that kind of thing. But
dude, since you've been at the games, I've been meaning to ask you this for a couple weeks. Have they renamed each section 13, like 113, 213, 413, 513, the Baker's dozen yet?
No.
They've got. How can they not? How can I be smarter in marketing than them? Wouldn't that make sense to have, you know, like? And I thought about it yesterday with you with the stupid Baker hat on. You know, you could give those hats. What you pay for the hat? $10?
Actually, I spent 20, but here's why. It's ridiculous. But one guy had them, and I looked at Steph, and I went, man, oh man, I got to find out where he got that, because I'd like to buy one. Right. And all of a sudden, the dude whips out a bag with like 50 of these things. He's like, all right, who wants a baker? I'm like, holy crap. But what they were doing is he made a whole bunch of them, and he just took whatever you could donate.
Right.
So I was going to give him a few bucks, but then he's like, yeah, they're donating to like homeless shelters or something. And Steph and I had gotten in an argument on the way into the stadium about why people suck and dogs are better, and she hates that. So she was mad at me. So I decided to get some husband brownie points, and I gave $20 to a homeless
So you paid
shelter.
$20 for a $5 hat.
I basically did.
All right, well that's fine, but couldn't you see the Browns? I see, and this is like marketing 101. That would be back to the old school, Dawg Pound day, the original Dawg Pound, the Minifield and Hanford Dixon thing. Wouldn't it be awesome if they did like Dan Gilbert does, and everybody that sits in whatever section 13, they just gave them a paper hat and just called it the Baker's Dozen. And every time the Browns are driving, the TV goes to this sea of white heads in the section 13, and everybody going crazy for the Browns. It would add that little flavor that would be smart. Now, especially now, the Browns are getting on TV a little bit more because of Baker Mayfield. So don't you think that would be like a cool marketing idea? Just call it the Baker's Dozen every section 13?
I would love it. I think it'd be hilarious.
Big old banner out there with a bunch of cupcakes that are like brown with a white stripe in the middle or something.
You know how bad people would make fun of us though, because it's like Philadelphia ripped us off, and they have like dog masks that look all intimidating, and then you'll have our stupid asses with like Baker. Like,
but who cares? But you know what, dude? That stuff is always fun, man. I mean, and I mean, you remember back to the original Dawg Pound days when we were all throwing dog food and chewing on dog bones, and that was one of them. I was one of them too, and that was fun. And at least it was fun to be down there. I mean, it's been a few years now since I've been down there. I need to get back down there again now that they're actually putting a team that looks like an NFL team on the field. But
well, you can go with me. Steph hates the cold weather games.
Yeah, so do I. So maybe next year.
Nice.
But no, I mean it feels so sterile now compared to what it used to be. They really have family friendlied it up, and you know what? I don't want to be family friendly.
No, see where I sit in the Dawg Pound, it's not like that.
Right.
Man. I mean, you have the family zone up in the upper 500s at the opposite end of the stadium, but it is, it's not quite as familyed up as you would think. And honestly, the first few games of the season, the energy in that place was off the charts, man. Like that Jets game, holy crap!
Right.
And so, I mean, the energy's there. It's, the city's primed to explode. I mean, it really is, because, I mean, that Baltimore game, like people were just rocking when we won that one. And I mean, look what happened after the Jets game. Everyone acted like we won the damn Super Bowl. I mean,
right.
It was unbelievable. And, so, I mean, the fandom is still there.
Sure.
It's just dormant because, it's been so terrible.
Dude, if we ever win a Super Bowl, it's going to put to shame what the Cubs had with their World Series.
It's going to put anybody's to shame.
It's going to be you won't be able to get you won't be able to get off the highway. You'll have to walk off the highway to get down to the stadium.
Yeah. I mean, dude, if you had over 1 million people at the Cavs parade, and I was there. I was one of the first couple hundred people at that parade. I was like 50 feet from the stage, and we didn't stay because it was just
gangster
a shit show in 3/4. But dude, going back like on the rapid transit, every single train going the other way, like towards downtown, every single train was literally jammed. You couldn't fit another person in there.
Right.
Every single stop, the entire waiting area was completely filled. You couldn't fit another person in there.
Sure.
You couldn't get anywhere. I mean, it was, and that's for the Cavs. So,
yeah,
the Indians parade would be even bigger than that. And the Browns, I don't know what they would do. You'd have to shut the city down. There'd be nowhere to go.
Yeah, I believe that. I wouldn't go. I'd be like, forget it.
No, I wouldn't either. I don't like giant crowds like that. And there'd literally be. I mean, again, the Cavs parade was bad enough, and that would be dwarfed by anything the Browns would do.
That's a terror attack waiting to happen. No thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, geez, man, like I literally don't know what they would do. And you would have to close businesses because employees wouldn't be able to get to work or home from work.
Sure.
I mean, you'd have to shut the whole damn city down.
Yep. It'd be nice to see, but I sure wouldn't want to be part of it.
Yeah. Oh, it'd be nice to see. Holy God. I tell Steph all the time when we're down at the games, I'm like, what if we finally get good enough to where we host an AFC championship game and you and I are sitting here 12 rows off the field when the Browns finally go to a Super Bowl? Like we're here we're witnessing the Lamar Hunt Trophy presentation from the Dawg Pound. Like that's amazing.
Right.
And that's why my stupid ass keeps buying Baker hats and season tickets and, Baker touchdown maker shirts and all this crap. It's like, because it's just like, it's all I have.
Just make sure that Stephanie has the video running when you start crying.
Oh, I will. It's going to be ridiculous. Dude, if you get me into a discussion about it enough, I'll start crying just thinking about it. That's how riled up I get. And I'm not even lying. That happened a couple weeks ago. Steph's like, "Are you crying just talking about if the Browns win?" I was like, "Yeah, I want it that bad, damn it.
Jesus.
I want it that bad." I'll fully admit, I cried. God, what game was it? The game that Alex Mack broke his leg. We played the Steelers.
Okay.
So it was like his last season here, I think it was.
All right.
Because I had sat through the previous 3 games against the Steelers at home when we just got the crap kicked out of us. It was like 41-0 on Christmas Eve and 35-7 and then like 38-3. Like I had sat through just ass whooping after ass whooping. And then that game we beat the hell out of the Steelers. And at the end of the game, I was just like, I was so excited. Like, it's not like I'm one of those people, if I get too excited, like I just get teary eyed and whatever. And I was like, I hate the Steelers so much that I was so excited. I was screaming in the Dawg Pound. I was like, I've earned this. God damn it. I've earned this.
Oh my God.
Because dude, when you're sitting there on Christmas Eve in the upper Dawg Pound and you're surrounded by Steeler fans making fun of you on Christmas Eve and you look up at the scoreboard, your team's losing 41-0. That sucks. And I did it 3 times.
Ugh.
So it was just frustration. I mean, I'm a pussy. I'll admit it. But hey, I'm passionate, dude. What can I say? But
I hope Stephanie just snuck away.
Oh, she did I go with her to that game? I don't know if I did. I don't remember. But I mean, dude, and bringing it back full circle. I mean, that's, being passionate and everything. I mean, that's one good thing that's so nice to hear is that everybody now in the national media is saying the Browns' job is extremely attractive.
Sure. No, it is. It definitely is.
It's never been that way before.
Yep. Well, it's a good thing, man. So, I guess you can't bitch that it's a desirable job. I mean, and I think we said I said that at the beginning of the year that we would get to this point where it's tough to watch, but we got to just tough it out. So, right now it's definitely tough to tough out, but you try to take away some good things from it and make it to the end, and hopefully Baker doesn't get destroyed. I know everybody was panicking when Tyrod came back in.
I had no idea what was going on. I was like, someone goes, "That's Tyrod." I went, "Wait, what the hell? What the hell?"
Well, at first they said he hurt his shoulder, but then they showed it later and he got hit in the head. He got hit.
Well, he's allowed to, remember?
Who?
Baker. You're allowed to hit him in the head, remember?
Oh, that's true, but he got tapped pretty hard in the head, helmet to helmet. And he went, but he was only out like 1 play or 1 or 2 plays.
3. It was 3, but
and Lord knows, wasn't that ironic? And this is one time I'm going to say that you were right about football. They brought him in, and the offense immediately just hit the off switch.
Yep.
As soon as Tyrod came in, it was like, we're done for a couple of plays. And then when they brought Baker back in, then they went right in and scored the touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, Tyrod stinks.
Yeah. I mean, that's the interesting thing about this season is that it's like, I mean, we knew at the beginning of the season, well, we got this difficult schedule, but it's become like a friggin' murderer's row, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, like a couple weeks ago, Atlanta was in the tank. Now we have them this week, and they're on like a 3-game winning streak or something, and they're scoring like 40 points a game. Like, great. Perfect. That's exactly. So basically, it's the Chiefs thing all over again. They have a crappy defense, but a huge offense. Perfect. you know, and then we get all these injuries. You know, you got Carolina coming up, who's a playoff team. You got, you know, Cincinnati, who's in the playoff hunt. You still have them twice. You know, you got the Texans started out 0-3, and you're like, oh, that's a winnable game. Yeah, now they've won, 6 in a row?
Yep.
So you got that happen. I mean, everything is stacked against us, man. So, I mean, it's just going to be one of those seasons where, you know, unfortunately, we could see hope and progress, but it's not going to show up in the win column, not because the Browns are playing like crap. They're just playing all really good teams.
Well, thankfully, Hugh left us with a legacy of 0-16, so 2 wins looks like monumental progress.
It's double the amount of wins we had in the previous 2 years.
Yeah, exactly. It's 1,000,000 times the percent. It's 1,000,000% improvement.
I can't take it, man. Only in Cleveland, man. I just we are so goddamn downtrodden.
Yeah,
it's not even funny.
Dude, people, it's funny because like you've never lived outside of the area even for like a year or anything, have you?
No, huh?
When you live somewhere else, everybody else that you run into, and I challenge this to anybody that is from Cleveland and has lived anywhere else. Whenever you go somewhere else, everybody's like, "You're so hardcore. You're such a hard ass. You're such a bad." You know, and it's like when you grow up where I grew up, and you know. And you deal with the sports teams that we have and the environment that we have and the weather that we have. And, you know, I can remember my dad, and this is old school, but I can remember going to Indians games and my dad parking away from the Indian stadium and saying, I hope my car doesn't get blown up on the way back from the game. And it was somewhat joking, but it was like realistic because that was when the mob was blowing up cars.
Yep.
You know, and I mean, that's the environment that we grew up in. You know, that kind of, it is hardcore, but when you leave this area and you go somewhere else, and, you know, like I lived in California for a couple of years, and those people are so soft compared to me, you know, who's, you know, and I admit I'm not soft, you know, anywhere but my gut, but, you know, you know, my attitude was like, I would run into people in the store and I'd be like, easy, sir, easy. I was like, what? I just want some food. Give me a shirt. What are you waiting for? You know, and they'd be like, oh, easy. You know, there is a hardness that happens from living here. And that is going to, when this team becomes good, it is going to be the ultimate fuck you to everybody from every single one of us. It's going to be all the years that we have taken that beating, and we've taken it and we haven't responded to it really. We haven't gone off the rails about it too much. I mean, there's individual things, you know, Bottlegate and whatever. But for the most part, Cleveland fans have taken just abuse after abuse after abuse from all the national people and whatever. When the Browns finally do it, oh my God, is it going to be a bloodbath? You know, it is going to be straight out war on every other city, every announcer, everyone in the media, everybody from the fans of this town. And me personally, I can't wait to be part of that.
Dude, that again, like thankfully my friends all know that I'm super hardcore.
Yeah.
And so you know, they always said like, hey man, you know, I have to admit, I kind of root for them. For you, like whenever they do something good, I'm like, oh, I bet John's loving this. So it's like, thankfully, I don't really have friends of mine, anybody that has really crapped on me. You know, I mean, some people laugh, but it's like, you know what I get all the time, and you probably get this too. Man, I don't know how you do that. Like it's like you went off to war or something and never came back.
Yeah, I know.
You're still there, like in the trenches with a helmet and a rifle. It's like. I'm like, dude, that's what we do. That's why I love Cleveland. It's like that's why, you know, the whole thing with LeBron leaving on television and, you know, people accused us of, oh man, you know,
overreacting.
Overreacted. Like, no, you don't fuck with us, man. You that's a no-no. Like we are very dedicated, hardcore people. And if you piss on us, we will fight you.
Yep, exactly. And maybe not just with words.
Yeah, seriously, man. Like it was funny because like after the game yesterday, Steph and I wanted to grab a beer, so we went to the Gold Horse because we park right over by there, and you get in for free with your ticket.
Right.
And we're sitting at the bar and just having a Miller Lite, and these 4 Chiefs fans walk in, and I didn't really get to talk to many Chiefs fans at the game. There were a few, but like in the Dawg Pound, there was maybe 2 of them.
Right.
So they don't. Opposing fans really don't try to come into the Dawg Pound.
Sure.
And the ones that do, that think they're hardcore, they've pretty much gotten their ass handed to them because they get mouthy and they think they can get mouthy. It's like, no,
Right.
You can't do that here. So anyway, I called one of them over and I said, hey, man, can I ask you a question? And he goes, man, you're not going to be a dickhead too, are you? And I was like, no. I actually have a serious question. I said, by the way, if you got messed with for no reason by fans, those aren't real Browns fans. Like my wife and I are real Browns fans. Like we can actually converse with you and not be a douchebag. So I asked him about John Dorsey, and because I really wanted to know, like,
right.
How much responsibility did Dorsey have for building that team from somebody who lived it? He's like, oh, dude, you're gonna love what he does.
Yeah, but
like,
if they'd have been wearing Steeler gear, you'd have fucked with them.
Oh no, I just wouldn't talk to him.
You'd have left. I can't be in the room with these people.
Well, because you can't talk to Steeler fans. First of all, the spittle flying from their mouths because they're just a bunch of waterheads and just their inability to have any and bunch of dumb goddamn yinzers. God, I hate their fans. Oh, they suck so bad.
Yeah, try having a business when the Browns were at their lowest peak ever and having to be there in Pittsburgh 3 days a week. Oh, that was not pleasant.
That's okay. They still get pissed off when you call Ben Roethlisberger a rapist.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't get convicted of anything. I'm like, yeah, because when you get accused by 3 separate people over a long period of time, I'm sure that's not an actual thing.
Yeah, settling isn't innocent. A settlement is not innocent.
Yeah, that's what I keep saying. Like, he wrote checks. No, he didn't. I'm like, do you read? Oh, wait. Never mind. Silly question. Did you see the pictures of your quarterback in the paper next to pictures of like young college girls you shouldn't be messing with?
Right. And meanwhile, though, those are the same fans that will absolutely call Ray Lewis a murderer.
Oh yeah,
and he did same thing. He settled.
Yeah,
he settled, and therefore there was no guilty verdict.
At least that was fun. I have some really good friends from Baltimore that are Ravens fans, and they're talking about how Ray, is gonna, when he went into the Hall of Fame or whatever the hell it was, and they were talking about it online, and my comment was, is he going to wear a white suit to the induction ceremony? Like, it's just, the joke tells itself, man.
Yeah, well, he challenged 2 people to rise from the grave after 3 days now that he's a preacher.
Oh, that guy. How sad is it, man? He could have been a Brown.
Yeah. Oh. Well, if he was a Brown, he'd have gone to jail.
Yeah, right, exactly.
If he's a Brown, he'd have been convicted and gone to jail. He would have been Dante Stallworth instead of Ray Lewis.
God, boy, that a memory from the past. I forgot about that one. Speaking of only in Cleveland.
Yeah, you signed this guy to all this money. What's he do? He runs over
he runs over like some Cuban dude.
Yeah, some that's working on the roads. It's like, how does this happen? We finally get an A-list receiver. We finally get an A-list free agent. And what does he do? He runs somebody over in a construction zone, drunk. Jesus.
I just always pictured, like, because he's a Brown, I just picture that guy driving in his car hammered going, man, it don't get any better than this. Thump. What was that? Like,
I got $20 million. I'm getting all the babes I could possibly get. I'm set for like, oh, damn it. What happened? My life and career just went off like that guy's head. Jesus.
First thing he does is check his phone to see text messages or emails of what the exact signing bonus was that he got. He's like, well, at least I still got that.
Yeah. Second thing he did was went looking for a hose to wash off his bumper.
Like he hit a deer or something.
Jesus.
He's asking people, you know where the nearest car wash is?
Yeah, but he's backing in so they can't see the front of his car.
Yeah, right. That's how they caught him.
Hey, how come you're driving backwards for the last 4 miles? No reason. No reason.
He just handed people wads of cash. You didn't see nothing. Go about your business.
Close your eyes and point to the gas station.
Right. See, this is why it sucks to be a Browns fan to lose all the time. We find ourselves making fun of a dead guy.
Yeah, well, whatever.
We have to find entertainment value wherever we can, and unfortunately, this one comes from a Browns receiver running over some poor guy.
Did you really think I was going to go the whole year without bringing a little CMS to this?
Right? Hey, we're more than halfway through the season. I think you've done pretty good.
Yeah, I've held back as long as I can.
Yeah, right. All right, so let's say we got for this game, and then we could get out of here.
Right.
Do we think it's going to be similar to the Chiefs, or do you think with the Browns being a little more aggressive that it might actually be a little bit better game than we think it will be?
I'm going with my same prediction from last week, bloodbath. I just it could be like the Chiefs game, but I really think I honestly think Denzel Ward being out, and he's probably going to be out. I mean, they haven't said that yet, but a hip pointer is not something that you just come back from. So even if he's on the field, he's not going to be 100%. And, not being 100% against Julio Jones is
Calvin Ridley.
Well, Ridley too. Either side. I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Whichever side you put him on, you got a number one receiver and a damn good one.
Yeah.
So, and if he's out, oh my God, we got guys from the practice squad covering one of those two guys. If I'm Matt Ryan, I'm just bombing away. It's like Madden. I'm just throwing every play is the 4 verticals, and I'm just throwing it as far as I can to somebody.
Yep.
So I'm thinking if Denzel Ward is in, maybe similar to I'll say 40-20, the Atlanta. If Denzel Ward is out, I'm thinking 56-10.
Well, here's my prediction. It's based on the weather. If the weather forecast is what the early reports are, which is 30 and snow,
okay,
I think it's going to be a much closer game than people think, because you're taking a dome team and putting them out in crap conditions for the first time this season, which, throw them a little bit for a loop. Their running game is not great.
Yeah, because Freeman's out, right? Dante Freeman.
Yeah. And the Browns, they've proven to have a successful running game. And if you just, give them a steady diet of Chubb and Duke, you can have some success because their defense is pretty crappy.
Right.
So, I think if it's crappy weather, I think it could be a lot closer than people think. And I also think that the team kind of like got a shot in the arm from the fact that they were reasonably competitive. I mean, they lost by 16, sure, but
it's 2 scores.
Everyone expected it to be everyone expected it to be 50-10 though. And that first half, they were only down by 1 touchdown.
Right.
And, without that block punt, it might have been a 1-score game. You don't know. In any case, it was way better than we thought. Mm-hmm. And the offense showed some creativity without Todd Haley. And, unfortunately, the defensive injuries are going to suck. But if it's crappy weather, I think it'll be a lot closer than people think. So, but if not, then I could see a similar result to the Chiefs game. So
2-7-1.
Yeah. Well, dude, I honestly, I don't. Where's there another win on the schedule besides maybe Denver? I mean, you got Denver.
I'm gonna say Cincy is because Cincy plays
Baltimore.
Yeah, Baltimore maybe, but Cincy always tends to play to the level of the team they're playing. They always seem to do that, and I could see us taking at least one of the 2 from Cincinnati.
Well, I actually have a bet with a friend of mine who makes fun of me for being a Browns fan all the time. He's a Bengal fan, and I finally got so sick and tired of hearing it the last 3 years. I said, we're going to beat you both times this year.
Oh, Jesus, dude.
So I got a bottle of Rumpelmann's bet on that. So
boy, at least it's cheap.
$26, right? Yeah, so that's, but yeah, I mean, Denver, Baltimore is kind of in a tailspin, and who knows what's going to happen that's the last game of the year, so who knows what will happen by then.
Right.
And like you say, Cincy, is really the weak link on the schedule. I mean, unless you want to look at the Texans, like who do you consider better, the Texans or the Bengals? And I would have to say the Texans would probably be better.
Sure.
Especially if AJ Green has that foot injury.
Yeah. Well, let's hope.
Yeah,
let's hope that it falls off.
Yeah. Right. Well, we don't have Joe Hayden anymore, so he doesn't really have anybody to absolutely like decimate.
Right.
So, So. All right. Well, let's hope for a better result this week in the win column at least. But keep an eye on all the coaching news and whatnot. And, so thanks everybody for tuning in to another episode of the Dawg Pound Podcast. We appreciate it. And as always, here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Ooh, ooh.
Thanks for listening to the Dawg Pound Podcast. Be part of the next edition by sending your thoughts to Woof, that's WOOF, at dawgpoundpodcast.com, or by calling us at 216-503-6404. See you next time, and go Browns!
Give it up.